Ladies and gentlemen, this is Gaming Tidicom video. I'm going to blow your minds. You better sit down for this one. But Carrie Sherman, who is the chairman and CEO of the RIAA, also known to their friends as the Recording Industry Association of America, has told us that the current copyright system, more specifically DMCAs, are largely useless in combating music piracy. This is fairly lengthy, this interview, so I'm going to give you just the excerpts of it, the pertinent sections. He says that at the moment, the current system, which was put together in 1998, which is DMCA, is largely useless in a world where illegal links are taken down, reappear just instantaneously, and the results are a never-ending game of both costly and increasingly pointless. He then goes on to say that the recording companies are presented with a Hobson's choice: accept below-market deals or play a game of whack-a-mole, those are his words. The notice of a takedown system intended at a reasonable enforcement mechanism has instead been converted into a discount licensing system where copyright artists and owners are paid far less than their creativity is worth. Okay, so this one is a bit of a tricky one to fully tackle in a single video because it's such a massive, absolute gargantuan topic. But let's start out by saying the obvious. The current system is fucked. It just absolutely is. I'm sorry for the language, but there's no other way to put it other than it is fucked in every single way possible. It's awful for the artists, it's awful for the recording industry or the music industry and or any other copyright holders. It's awful for consumers. It's bad for those who are putting together creative works, for example, you know, reviews, that type of thing. It's bad. It's just bad for everyone. It's not working for anyone. It's just bad for everyone. And indeed, there are multiple reasons why people just don't feel bad for the recording industry. We're going to get to some of these points in a moment. For example, the controversy of are they really losing money and all of that stuff in just a second. But there is one case that I would like to discuss with you in particular. It actually slipped somewhat under the radar, and it was actually took place a couple of weeks back. Well, it has been running for a while, but the verdict took place earlier this month. Anyway, Stephanie Lenz, her name is, it's spelt rather, L-E-N-Z, actually won a major case against Universal Music Corp. I'm going to give you the synopsis here, but effectively her kids were dancing to Let's Go Crazy by Prince. Now, as they were dancing around, she filmed it because she thought it was funny, and put up a 30-second snippet of that very video on YouTube, and it was viewed about 1.3 million times. YouTube then had to take the video down along with 200 other videos, well, over actually 200 videos, because Universal Music Corp said that, you know, it was violating their copyright. Okay, so what then happened is that the Ninth Circuit Court said the law clearly allows for fair use of copyrighted materials, and takedown notices may be sued even if nobody lost money as a result. What basically happened is that once YouTube yanked the video, it was restored, 6 weeks later, because she fought back. She basically said, hey, I'm going to submit a counter notification because this is completely and utterly rubbish. You know, this is fair use. It's not about me uploading pirated material or making money off of that. It's the fact that my kid was dancing and it was funny. If anything, it's good advertising for your bloody, you know, music, right? Anyway, as I said, she won the court case, and since then, the music industry actually didn't really comment on the outcome. Her lawyers did, and they were rather boastful about it, and obviously cited fair use and all of that stuff, which I won't go into. But the bottom line is, the actual record industry didn't really want to comment on that for obvious reasons. Obviously, it's a really bad precedent for them. Now, I would also like to talk to you about piracy in terms of how it's impacting people, because I've been reading up on this a little bit, and there are some people who believe that piracy is actually positive for income. In other words, the bottom line is there are some reports which state that it's actually a major positive for the recording industry and for actual revenue. In fact, a Forbes report which popped up back in 2013 concluded that there were, based on the surveys and the data that they've come across, said, and I quote, either 1, piracy actually boosts sales as pirates actually use file sharing to filter their purchases, or 2, people would buy more music if it was cheaper and wasn't any illegal downloading. Another chap by the name of Patrick Wickstrom, I'll spell that for you if you want to do some Googling, P-A-T-R-I-K, and then Wickstrom, W-I-K-S-T-R-O-M. He authored a book by the name of The Music Industry, Music in the Cloud, the 2nd edition. And in that very book, he actually argues that one of the reasons that concert prices are increasing is due to the fact that, well, piracy. So in other words, they're saying, well, the bands and those involved in the music industry need to make their cash somewhere. And in fact, executive chairman of Live Nation, Irvin Azoff, actually wrote on Twitter back in August 2010, so a while back now, 5 years. God, I can't do the maths today. And he said, and I quote, "So if you want ticket prices to go down, stop stealing music." Those are his words. But that's not all, because there are some who are reporting that that's actually not the case. There are others who are reporting sales data for the top 100 tours in North America, and this was actually done over an 8-year period. And they said that it's actually not due necessarily to piracy, but the average price of a ticket is actually rising, not because of that, but because of ticket scalping. I'm sure you know what ticket scalping is, but if you don't, it's basically the act of, you know, one major buyer will buy a massive amount of tickets, let's say for the sake of argument 500 tickets, and then resell those at higher face value. So let's say the ticket costs $25 or £25, insert your currency of choice. They will then sell it for, let's say, twice the price, and therefore fans are forced to cough up, and that happens quite a bit. In fact, this problem has increased so much that there have actually been some parliamentary investigations within the United Kingdom. Oh dear. And then we've got Gabe Newell, and one of the most famous quotes that he's ever done. I'm not going to give it verbatim because, to be honest, I can't remember it verbatim, but effectively he said that piracy isn't necessarily, you know, caused by anything else other than a service problem and price problem. It's like, if you give a good enough service and a convenient service at a good price, and you don't piss off your paying consumers, or paying customers rather, people are much more likely to buy from you. In other words, you know, if you put on crap tons of anti-piracy measures, you know, make people have paying customers have to jump through hoops, they're much more unlikely to buy your game in Valve's case than what if it was just a simple pain-free transaction. And while I realise this is getting slightly out of the scope of what I'm discussing here, even if we start to push that towards Netflix and the regional difficulties that we've got with Netflix. So for example, you've got certain content which is licensed in the UK but not licensed in the US, which is not licensed in Japan but which is licensed in Canada. Therefore you've got this bizarre problem where you can either VPN or you could just deal with your regional equivalent. If you use a VPN, technically you are breaking the terms of services of Netflix, and therefore you can have your account shut down. And Netflix is just the tip of the iceberg. You might have heard of this, well, you probably haven't actually, because it's not that well known, but there's a new show out called Fear of the Walking Dead. Yeah, I was being sarcastic. I'm British, I can do that. And, well, if you're from the United Kingdom, you know the absolute ridiculous number of hoops that you've got to jump through with Fear of the Walking Dead, because there are some exclusivity deals going on where it's exclusive. I believe it's with BT, but don't quote me on that, meaning that if you've got other services, you're boned, you can't watch it. Game of Thrones, of course, is one of the most pirated TV shows out there, and we all know the reasons as to why with that. Basically, what I'm telling you, in my opinion anyway, is it's not a workable system. It's a system where everyone is jumping through hoops, but no one's really winning. We as customers have money. We want to give companies the money, but you feel like you're fighting them. It's even the problems with, let's say, services like iTunes and services like Play and all of these other different streaming services and solutions. All of it, you know, if you buy on one, it won't necessarily transfer to a new device, and you've got some musicians, excuse me, who are part and parcel of one streaming service or one purchase service, but not part of another one, and it's just an absolute mess. Now, obviously, there does have to be some exclusivity deals out there, because I'm not saying that Netflix should have exactly the same content as, let's just say, Amazon Prime. That's absolutely ridiculous, and obviously that would destroy the spirit of competition. However, us as customers, us who are paying for the damn thing, these regional barriers, these problems where, let's say for the sake of argument, a game will unlock on Steam 2, 3, 4 days later in one region at the worst. It used to be a lot worse than what it is, and the same as even console games. It's absolutely ridiculous. Regarding moving back to the music side of things, I don't think people begrudge paying for music. I don't think people begrudge paying artists. I don't. I genuinely do think that if you like an artist, if you support an artist, most people will buy it, but it's just, I think there's this disconnect between how we as customers want to do things and the prices that we feel is fair, particularly if you don't even like an entire album. Sometimes, for example, you get situations where you can't buy a specific song from an album, but you don't like the rest of the album. You just think the rest of the album sucks, or you can hear 20 seconds of that song and you think, well, you know, is that where I want to go? So maybe I'll just watch it on YouTube, and then it's just messed up. Moving back to the YouTube side of things, just for one more moment, you've got companies as well, which makes this even more complicated. You've got companies who are effectively placing false copyright on your videos, and then you'll try to, fight them, and then it doesn't work. So, for example, you could have the ice cream maker, in extreme cases, who will be flagged in terms of their content for your video, and it's not necessarily their fault, because YouTube's automated system will flag it. But then again, can you blame YouTube? Let's just be totally and utterly honest here. If you've got hundreds of hours of video being uploaded every couple of minutes to YouTube or your service, how the hell are you supposed to manually enforce this stuff? So some automated system has to be placed and actually utilized to, to help out. It's the only way that things are going to work. Anyway, I know I've been rambling for the past few minutes, but this is just one of those things where something really needs to be improved from both the point of view of the customers, the RIAA, because at the moment, in my personal opinion, and admittedly I'm not a super duper industry expert when it comes to piracy and copyright law and all of that stuff, but in my personal opinion right now, the RIAA and other companies like them are stuck in the past. You've got companies who will, start trying to flag you if you're doing a movie review. Not that that affects me, but, at the end of the day, it does affect some people. You'll get other companies who will try and sue a grandma because she accidentally recorded some song that was on the radio at the same time as, her kids were having, her grandkids were having a birthday party or something. Obviously, I'm just making up examples at this point, but you get the idea. Anyway, hopefully you've enjoyed the video. I know it turned out to be a bit rambly at the end, but just how I felt, to be totally honest. Hopefully you've enjoyed it though. I'll see you soon. Take care. Bye for now.